Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Today we are working on the same page that we created yesterday. So this is making a long form sales letter or sales page responsive using GroovePages. So if you weren't following, yesterday we built out this long form sales page. It looks like this. It's pretty simple to create, and we did it yesterday just on the video. And for today, we will be making sure that it looks mobile responsive. We were using a lot of pre-made blocks, so that should be already helping us with the whole thing. But we also made our own custom blocks. So for example, this one is a custom block that we created, this one as well, and a lot of things that we we're adding on will just not look immediately good on a mobile device. So in order to make sure it looks good, we need to go in and make it mobile responsive. So while we're waiting for everybody to join us, let's just have a look at how it looks like at the moment. So in case you're designing a page, you're probably designing it for the big device, which is like a desktop screen. Let me zoom in to see if you can. Okay, actually quite zoomed in, all right. So this is for the desktop. This is when where we and how we designed our page. But let's just have a look at some other variations of it. So if you come to the laptop device, it still looks good, but we would need to add some more paddings on the side, and yeah, maybe a little bit smaller fonts for here, more padding on the sides. Here there is a bit of a big spacing that we don't need, and yeah, a bit more padding on here, and it would look good on this device. But it's completely different thing on the horizontal tablet device. We need to add on padding big time over here as well. Over here as well. Over here you can see that the text and the icons are almost touching the border of the screen. If somebody would put in images over here, they would look kind of not nice because they would be small and completely here on the top. You would need to move this a bit lower, remove this big spacing, also change up the fonts. These font sizes are too big for this page. For this device over here, these fonts are too big as well. So there's a lot that we can actually modify, and we're going to do it together. And yeah, this just looks not nice. So let's just have a look at the vertical devices, the vertical tablet and the mobile device. These are usually the devices that need more work on them. So the first thing that we see here, we were moving the text using the drag handles, and it just overlaps now. We'll fix that one. Here we need to center align everything. Also here there's just like one image showing for some reason. Where are the others? And then here it overlaps and it just doesn't look great. Over here as well, look, there is an image here in the background for some reason. I don't know why, but we'll work on that together. We absolutely need to make sure we center align these on the page. Let's just see, this image is too big, these fonts are too big. Then we have this this device over here that I would like to maybe just position bit above the text on this part. So we'll work on that together. There is a bit more spacing that we don't need. So there are 4 images over here. Okay, that's fine, we can work with that. And then absolutely we need to center align these over here on the page. Here need some spacing between the device and the text over here. And yeah, so we have a lot work to do. So this image as well, we would need to just resize it a bit, and then the same thing probably on a mobile device. So here, as you can see, these links are going out from the page. So if you have a look, we don't have a horizontal scroll bar on these devices. But when we come to the mobile, we have a horizontal scroll bar, and this is because of this element, because it is basically going out from the screen. So we will fix this one as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things to do. So I would like you to work with me. So I shared on YouTube and in the Facebook description of this video, you'll find a link. This link will guide you to this page over here. And this is where I uploaded the visual, basically the design, the code that you can put into um, your own page builder and work with me. So basically, as I'm doing it, you can follow it. So if you come over here, if you click on the link inside the description of this video on YouTube or on Facebook, it is a short link that like d.pr/ da 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 da. You just click on that link, you will get to this page. Once you download this file, it's just a text file. Once you download it to your computer, you'll have a file that looks like, let me just go to my desktop. Oh, come on. That looks like this long form sales page. Okay. It looks like this. It's just a lot of different code, which is the backend code for our design that we created yesterday. So if you click anywhere inside your Notepad app, you click Command A on a Mac or Control A on a PC to select all. Okay, so you select all, you copy, so Control C or Command C to copy it over. Then you will come to your page builder. Okay, and you either start a new site or you start a new page on your pre-existing site, and you start from scratch. So you open a blank canvas. Okay. After that, it's very simple. You just click over here to this code button and you paste in. So Control V or Command V to paste in that code. Okay. So that didn't work out as planned. I believe we just didn't paste it in correctly. Let me just delete everything and do it again. Okay, so that didn't work. Let me just see if the code is correct. What I will do is I will copy it from here. So copy and paste it in over here. It seems that this will be working now. Great. So let me just re-upload the code. I don't know why it broke. I just did this like a couple of seconds before the stream started, but I will just re-upload it and share it out in the comments. Okay, so this is the text file, and I'll just upload this to Dropler again. Here we go. So I got a new link where you can download it from here. So I'll just copy this over and share it out with you guys. So hopefully it will be working. We'll just go and test it out one more time. Okay, here we go in the Facebook comments as well. So download this one. This is the code. As you've seen, I just pasted in here, but let's just do it one more time together. So I download it, even though I have it on my computer, I'll just download it, open it, select all, copy, and paste it on a page. And see, it will be working now. I don't know what happened the first time, but now it works. So try with this new file. I will change it in the description of the video as well. So let me just do that very quickly on Facebook. Most of our users are watching on Facebook, so I'll just do it on Facebook and then change it on YouTube after the stream is done. Okay, so now you have the file, you have the design, and once you pasted it in, it shows up like this one. Pretty simple to do, not much, no complications, but that is basically what we created yesterday. And you will have the same issues as I had. As you can see, small logo, overlapping text over here, nothing is centered, there is one image over here, and the rest are just thrown away on all over the page. And yeah, we have work to do. So Work this time, Robert Murray says. Perfect. Very good. I don't know what was messed up the first time, but anyway, now you have it. Now the correct link was sent out, so you can click on that one. And we can continue working on the design. Of course, you can use this for yourself. This is why we created this template. Once we make it mobile responsive, you save it and you will have a functioning template. So what I do suggest to do after that is just save it as a template. Save personal page template. I believe you only have one option, save page template. Once you do that, it will be showing up for you whenever you come and start a new site, use templates. You will have your own templates shown up that you saved. Great. So mobile responsiveness. Whenever we are working with pages and sites, we need to make them mobile responsive. So now I'm working on the page 3. This is the one I imported just right now. And you've seen how it looks like on other devices. What we need to do is actually start modifying that. So what I usually do once I'm done with editing all the devices at the same time, I see what the device specific changes need to be done. Okay, so I come over here to the laptop and I click one more time. Okay, and I only have the laptop highlighted in red. This means that I'm only editing this device. However, we do not have yet the change locking on these devices. So sometimes when you change things only on one device, it changes on other devices as well because they were not set up properly. So actually, if you want this size of the font on this device, you need to set that up. But if you didn't set that up specifically on a different device, it may change, and we will go through that one together now. So I will come to the laptop and just scroll through the page just to see what we need to edit over here. And immediately I can see that on this part, I need to add on some padding. Padding is basically just a bit of more space on the left-hand side and the right-hand side so that we have a nicer looking page. And I will turn on the expert mode so you can follow along with this one. So I clicked the container that holds the button and then these rows over here. So as you can see, block, container. If we come to spacing, I click this padding left and right at the same time, and I can add on a bit of padding so that there is a bit of space between the edge of the screen and the things that are showing up. So I usually put in one REM on a laptop and the tablet devices. Sorry, I just got lost for a second there. So one REM padding is good for these devices over here. So let's just come over here and look through the page. Again, over here, it is very close to the edge. So I will also add on a bit more padding over here. And since this is a block that has different columns, as you can see here, we would need to do that on the block itself. So you click somewhere outside of this white part, you make sure that the block is selected, and then you do the same, some padding, and I would just say to put one REM of padding. It immediately looks a bit better. There is a bit of spacing here, and it is not as close to the device edge. Of course, it will look a bit different when we are previewing it on a big device. So as you see on a big device, there is a lot of spacing, but when you're previewing it on a small device, we need to add on this spacing because it will not be showing up automatically. Okay, so over here, this one is looking good, these features, but maybe this layout or the container that is holding it, maybe we can add on a bit more padding on the sides just so that it is not as close to the edge over here. So let's just add on one REM padding. As you can see now, it looks a bit more organized. Okay, this part is good. There's a lot of padding on the sides and top and bottom, so we will not touch this one. Let's just see the rest. Okay, so over here, I can see that there is a lot of spacing over here. There is a bit less above the image. And this is because we set this up for the big device. On a big device, we wanted to pull the image a bit. Actually, we wanted to push the text a bit lower. So this is where we added on this spacing so that the text is somewhere towards the middle of the image. On a laptop device, it looks differently because we cannot we we can increase, oh no, we cannot increase the size of this image, but what we can do is just remove this extra spacing we added on the big device. As you can see over here in the container, we have 5.5 rem, and this is the spacing that we added on. So if we move it back like that, I believe this looks good if we leave it at 1 rem. Now we have a section with a title and some list items over here, but the image is still centered. So now the image is centered towards the text and not otherwise like here. Okay, so that's the change that we did. So just remove the spacing on the container level of this side. So click the container on this side and spacing, and just remove the top padding that we added on when we were designing the page. Okay, over here we also need to add on a bit of padding. What I would like to see is a bit of spacing on the sides. So what I can do is click anywhere on the page and choose the container level. Inside the spacing, add on a bit of spacing like that, just so that it is a bit there's a bit more room to work with. Okay, over here we could decrease the font size so that it shows up like this. I believe this is good to do, like that, so it immediately looks a bit more professional. Over here, if you would like, you can do the same, so it comes to the same line like that. But then again, John Doe jumped back, so let's just decrease it one more time so that they are nicely aligned. So John Doe, Miami, Florida, like that one. What we did now is just decrease the font on this one device. So on the other devices, it was, yeah, it actually changed on the other device as well, but we can move this back. On this device, let's just say if we want it a bit bigger, we can put it a bit bigger. Okay, 2.25. We can put this back to 1.5, and that looks good. Why it changed on the bigger device? That is most probably because we didn't set it up. So if we didn't change it on the laptop first, I believe we didn't touch the sizing of this one on this device itself, and that is why it also applied the changes. So I will show you what I mean. Okay, so if we save and come back to our home page, which is the same page actually, if we click on this text, this is set up by default in the template. So if we change it on a smaller device, and this change, we didn't make this change, then it will change on all the devices as well. So over here, now it changed to 185, okay? But if we set it up in the design, if we set up like, okay, this text I actually want to be 1.15 on all the devices, then it will be on all the devices. But we didn't set it up, we just left it template, basically as it was in the template. So this is why it took up the changes on there, but that's fine. We moved it back, and now all the smaller devices will have the same changes as the big device, as the big one. Okay, because we made the titles, basically the text, small only on this device, but on all the rest it is staying big. Good. So let's just keep on editing it. Let's just see. So I would probably like this one to be a bit narrower. So this is a long piece of text that is looking a bit strange on here. So let's just make it a bit smaller. And I don't mean in the size, but let's just push it towards the middle so that it actually has maybe 2 lines of text over here. So you can do this a couple of different ways, but I will show you with a sizing. If you come and select text and you set up the sizing over here, then 40 rem, for example. So instead of max width, I just choose 40 rem, and then it changed If you want, you can also set up 30 rem or 20 rem. It looks bad right now, but I believe 40 rem is kind of better, because it looks like it is not a long line of text across the whole screen, but it's looking a bit better right now, I believe. We could also decrease the size of this device. Like if we click on this device laptop element, we could do the same, either using these REMs like 30 REM or I don't know, 20 REM. But we could do this also with relative to the parent. You can use this scroller thingy to, or a slider, to decrease the size of it. So I'll just leave it on 50 REM and leave it at that. Good. So over here, this is a text that we used a pre-made block, and we didn't set up our own text alignments or sizes and anything. So in case I would now change it on this one, okay, so if I do the changes on this one, it will apply it on other devices as well, because we didn't set it up ourselves. Let's just see if it actually changes. Okay, it didn't. That's fine. So it's 1875. Or here it's 1.25 over here. That's fine. So if we set it up like that, a bit smaller, then this change will be taken on this device. So it's 125, and maybe this one a bit bigger, like that. Good. So 1.5 is the title, and the rest is 125. Okay. It looks immediately a bit better because we have this separation of what is important and what is not important. So this is the most important, okay, because this is the biggest size. Then this is like a subtitle, which is a little bit smaller than the main title, but it's bigger and bolder than this one. So it's like a visual separation of elements of what is important and what is not important. There we go. So we done this one. Let's just continue designing it on here. 125, 125. And as you can see, now we came to the place where we have a lot of spacing in between. And this, I would just check all the devices, basically all the elements on the page. And once I just clicked here into this white space, I see that there is a bit of spacing added on here. So let's just see what is wrong. Okay, so we have 5 rem of padding on here. So we don't want this padding, so we'll just move it back to 0. Okay, it immediately looks better. What if we click inside this one over here? Okay, so it also has a bit of spacing, as we can see with this green button or green dot on there. Let's just move it back to 0. Let's move this back to 0. Okay, so the padding, it didn't change because this is a stylable element and it is a pre-made block. Great. So what we could do is we could just check the block over here. Okay, so it doesn't have any extra spacing on there. It is all margins. Okay, so what we could do is we could just take this one and then add on negative margin like that, -4 on this device. But then we would need to go and check back the bigger device and see if anything has changed on there. Okay, it didn't change, so it looks good. So on here it looks a bit better. There is not a lot of spacing on there. So let's see what else. Over here in this block, we definitely need to add on some padding on the sides. So I just click here left and right padding while I have this block selected, and we can add on a bit of padding like that. What this is doing is adding spacing here and adding spacing here. When we did this, as you can see, these 4 images are sliding towards the middle of the page. Okay, and we are actually, I'm okay with that one, but I will put 1 rem. But then I want my text to come a bit higher up. Okay, so I will click this container that is holding all my text elements, click the spacing, and yesterday in the design we added a bit of a spacing on here so that it looks good, so that this text is towards the middle of the images, as you can see here. So we added spacing on a big device, but on a laptop it doesn't look good, so we can just remove that. Okay, it looks good now. It looks better in my opinion now. Good. So on this device we are done. By the way, this can be done much quicker in case you know what you're doing. I'm just going slowly or slower. For some people this will still be fast enough. So I do suggest rewatching the video and trying it actually on this template. So download the code, download the template, and then play with this one. Okay, you cannot break anything so much. Actually you can, but you shouldn't. In case you're following what I'm doing here, you cannot break it so much that you cannot actually do anything with it. Okay, so over here, these images, we have a bonus and this looks nice, but I want this box to be closer, not so much space between it. So what I will do is I will click on the container that is holding the image. So this is an image that is inside a container. As you can see, this bright pink outline is actually showing where the container is. So if you click on the container itself, here it says container, if you go to layout, you can actually position this to be center aligned. So now it is center aligned inside this container, which is making the box come a little bit closer to the text. What you could do is also position it a lot closer, but then there is a lot of blank space over here and it doesn't look good. So what I usually suggest is just to position it in the middle. Then there is the same amount of white space here, and then it looks a bit more professional. It looks nice. So I will do this. And also, as I say, we need to set things up. What I mean by that is if you click on this text, you see that it is not aligned towards left, towards right, towards middle. So we actually want to click this left align so that whenever we are working with it, we want it to be left aligned on this device. On here as well, we want it left aligned, and here as well, on here as well. Okay, so the next one I will not do. I want to show you the difference, what setting up the actual elements does and what the difference if we don't set it up. So over here, I'll just center align the box as well, here and here. And then I will set up the bonus tree also to align it towards the left hand side, just so that we see the difference. Okay, there we go. On here, this is center aligned, this is center aligned, but I'm actually okay with this one. I don't want it to be a bit more padded in. This section as well, it's looking good, but this section we need to actually add on some padding. As you can see, it is very close to the sides of the screen. I don't want that, so I will choose the whole container. You can do it on the block. I don't think that there is a difference, but you could add on padding on the sides and make it a bit more indented, more towards the middle, so that it looks much better. Over here, this one I will not touch. I actually like how it looks. So I believe we are done with this device. We'll need to come back to it later on, absolutely. But for now, I believe we are good to go. The only change, because there is a bit more text over here and the images are towards the top, they are actually over here aligned with the top of this text, but it doesn't actually look good now on this device. So maybe we could add on some more padding so it comes towards the middle. So what I would do is I'll just add top padding over here so it comes towards the middle, something like that. 3 rem, it looks good on this device now. Okay, so when we close it, we make sure there is no horizontal scroll bar. Okay, when you click inside something, it adds on horizontal scroll bars because of this drag handles, but when we actually click out of it, then we don't have anything to scroll left and right. And this we want to see on all the devices, okay? So laptop is finished. Let's just see how it looks like on a horizontal tablet. So I would like to have a bit bigger logo. So on this device, I will set up my logo to be a bit bigger, like that, 20%. But this we need to change big time because it is just not looking good. It is too big and it's overlapping the text. So what I will do is I will just make it a bit smaller here and here. And as you can see, it's overlapping. So what you could do is you could use these drag handles. I'll just use this one over here. As you can see, we have minus 2.25 REM. So we made negative margins on here. So if you actually set it up back to 0, then it pops back as it normally should look like. But I believe this is still a bit too much space in the middle. So I will pull it a bit closer to the other one. So make negative, not so much, but a little bit less, something like that. Okay, so if you see the difference, it is a big difference. It's smaller, it's more visible, and it's not overlapping. And that's just what we did. Over here, it didn't change. As you can see, the text is bigger, and only on this one it is smaller. So that's basically it. If you want, you could also resize this so that it comes into one line. It's just something up to your preference. The video size I actually like. It is not dragging away the attention. And this part, we actually edited only one device with the padding on here. So we will add on a bit of more padding on the sides, on the horizontal tablet. Okay, so if we click on left and right, the same thing that we did on the laptop device, we just add on a bit more padding. So as I said, on the laptop and the horizontal tablet, I like to add on 1 REM padding because it just looks good. On a smaller devices, we'll need to add on, I believe, a bit more padding just to have it looking nicely on the devices. But for these two, I just use 1 REM. It's fine. Okay, as you can see here now, the images are very small. They are still aligned towards the top of this text, so we will edit that. Okay, so first I will just decrease the size of this text over here. I want it a bit smaller, like that. Also, the description is it's too big, I believe, so let's just decrease it by 1, and then move these images a bit lower on the page so that it looks a bit better. Something like that. I believe 4 REM on this device is better. But if you can see on this device, it is clearly visible that there is a lot of space up here and down here. So if we click on the block, which is now highlighting all this gray space inside with everything inside, and if you have a look at here at the padding, you can see that there is 5 REM of space on top and the bottom added on. So let's just see how it looks like when we remove that. When we remove it, then it is basically, this text is very close to the upper block. I don't want that, so I will add on a bit of spacing on the top, like 3 REM. Like, just do it visually, what looks good to you. Maybe 3.5 looks good for me. If you want, you can also visit all these elements and see if there is any spacing below it. So I believe there is a bit of margins. As you can see here, I clicked inside because I saw that there is a bit of space, and this is added because of the okay, so this is the margin because of that. Let's just see below here. So I clicked on this part of the text, and this is where the 3 REM margin is. And then if I remove it, you can see that it is decreasing the spacing on the bottom. Okay, so now we have a bit more spacing on the top than on the bottom, and this we did on the block. So you remember we had the block selected with everything inside, and we added on only 3.5 REM of spacing on the top of it. But I also want now on the bottom, because I removed the spacing that was added on by the text automatically. So I could just do that this way. 3 rem, 3.5. Now it looks good. Okay. Um, Maybe a bit less on the bottom. I don't know. For me, this spacing looks a bit too big. 1.5. I like 1.5 here, 3.5 up, and I believe this looks great. Nice. So this is one of our custom blocks that we added on padding on a laptop device. So if we select the whole block, everything that basically the first option over here at the bottom of the screen is the block, and we add on spacing, which is padding on the left and right. We want to add on a bit of spacing so that it is not touching the borders of the screen. We can do this that way. As you can see, it realigns the text. But as I said, I like to add on 1 rem on each of the sides, and it looks actually pretty nice over here. So on this one, I'm actually happy with how it looks like, but this headline is as big as this headline. This features are okay, but these days I want to decrease the sizing of this days, hours, minutes. So I'll just click on here, and I will just make it a bit smaller. I believe 1.25. It looks much better. It's not so big. I mean, we know that when we see a countdown timer, we know that these are days, and if it's counting out like that. So these are going faster, these are going slower, and everything else changing much slower. So we don't need to like scream, this is days, this is hours. So the size, the size of text, as you can see, this one is big. This one is putting the importance on that part. So if you have a look and scroll through the page, by the sizing of your text, you can actually differentiate. You can see what is the most important. So after this, the most important is this, because this is the next size. Then after that is basically the rest of the text. So by understanding that sizing impacts how people see the page, you can actually play with that and edit your sites accordingly. So let's just have a look at what we have here. If you see, this box is way up there because we have a bit of spacing on this section. And I believe this would look better. This piece of text would look better if we just resize it by 1. Okay, like that. Also, we could resize these. That is not as big as there. Maybe 1 rem. Like that. I believe it looks more clean. Like that. And we definitely want to remove this spacing because we added this on while we were designing the page. So let's just come over here and remove the spacing. Okay, like that. We don't actually need to move the box because it is kind of towards the middle of this section. So I'm happy with that. Okay, good. Maybe the top over here, when we had this section selected, you can see that there is white space on top and bottom. This is, we are now in the stylable element, which was the pre-made block, but there is a bit of padding added, or yeah, padding added on the top and bottom. So if we click on the block section, which is selecting now the whole white part, we can come into spacing, and there is padding of 5 rem. We can just resize it. We don't need all this white space. Okay, when we resize it, on the top it removed much more than on the bottom. This is the reason, because probably there is a bit of spacing here somewhere. Yeah, over here. There we go. I actually want to add on a bit more to rem. This looks better now. So on here, I believe this is a bit too close. So let's just remove this a bit. Okay. So when we are using drag handles, it uses this negative margin for some reason. I don't know why. As you can see here, it was like that, but I don't want that many. I don't want that much. So I'll just add on, I'll just put it one rem. It looks better like that. And then on here, I want to work with a text sizing. On this device, I want to make the text a bit smaller like that. Also, I want John Doe to be in one line like that, 1.5. I want this one to be in one line like that. I believe this one is looking much better than this one. So let's just do it on the rest as well. So by 1, this one was resized to 1.5, and this is resized to 1 rem. So it is all aligned. Oops, it's there. 1.5 and 1 rem. Okay, so it immediately looks better in my opinion. This one is just looking nicer than it was previously. So I'm happy with this section. Over here, I want to add on the sizing. I want to make it smaller as we did on a laptop device. Let's just test it out. So we select this text and we add max width to be 40, 30. No, 40 was looking, I believe, a bit better, but then we can also resize it and see if that changes some things. Yeah, I believe it looks good like that. It's not so wide anymore, and when you're watching it on a smaller, when you're reading it on a smaller device, it looks just a bit better. This image size we don't have to touch. I will just leave it as it is. And over here, this is the heading. So the text needs to be resized smaller because the heading is the most important. Okay, so I believe this is okay, 1.5, and over here we work with 1.125. This will give us a separation of importance. Like for example, yeah, let's just leave the text. This is the biggest, then this, then this. So people know kind of a flow of how to actually read the page. Let's just do the same over here. And 1125, 1125. There we go. Okay, so over here we set it up 1.5, 1125. There we go. 1125. There we go. So the next thing that we see is that the image, the device over here, is aligned to the top of this section, but I want it to be actually towards the middle. So I will add on a bit of spacing on the top of here and just put it somehow in the middle of this section, so it looks a bit more, it looks a bit nicer. I'll do the same here. 2 rem, then it puts it somewhere towards the middle, and then I'll add on a bit of spacing as well here. 2 rem, here we go. So we can see that there is a lot of spacing here, also on the block and also inside this part, because this was needed when we duplicated. We created this section first, then we just duplicated it, and then we wanted this space, but on the last part we don't need this space below, so we can just select this text over here and we can remove the bottom margins. Okay, we don't need that spacing because we don't want to put anything below that over here in the same block, I mean. So I can now select the block and also remove the bottom spacing, which has 5 rem added on here. There we go. It immediately looks better because there is not so much spacing on there. Yeah, so I believe this section looks great. If you would like, you can also add on the padding on the left and right as we did one REM, it looks a bit better now. Good. So if you would like, you can now go, as you've seen, this section, the text section, has increased in size. So if you want, you can add on a bit more spacing over here, so that the image is now more in the center. But you don't have to. Like, this is not something you have to do. But if you really want to have proper customized, proper looking websites on all devices, then this is something I would suggest you to do. So here we have very small images, very big text. So let's work with that. We need to keep this one as our headline. This needs to be the biggest, so we'll just decrease this in size, and as well this one. 1 REM, it's looking good. Okay, perfect. Good. So over here, this container I can move lower so that it is becoming the part of the whole section. So you can add on padding or margin like that. And this is somewhere towards the middle of the section. I'm looking at the space on top and bottom, and I believe this would be looking okay. This will change when you put in your images. The images will be either bigger, smaller, and things like that. So you need to first populate your images, and then resize them and put them where they belong. So it immediately now created a hierarchy. This is the most important, then this, then these, and then the people will be looking at the images while they are actually seeing all this text and things. So over here, as you can see, again, we have this piece of text is staying the same height or the same size, but this one needs to be a bit smaller, I believe, like that. Then we can leave these pieces of text, which is this bonus is just too big, I believe, on the page. What we could do is we need to remove this spacing, absolutely, because we added it on a big device and it made sense. But on this device over here, it doesn't make sense. So let's just see where we do have this spacing. This is in the layout 2x2. As you can see here, we have some spacing added on. Okay, so this was on the side. Let's just see. Why do we have that spacing on there? I believe this is because the image is all the way up here. So let's just add on spacing in here. No, that doesn't change it. Is it on the whole section? Layout 2x2. No. Let's have a look over here. It looks like there is some space on the top and bottom over here, but it doesn't show it up. Okay, that's fine. No problem. So what we could do is we can add on negative margins just to pull it up. And this is now moving the whole section, the layout 2x2. I just want it over here. Here we go. I don't know why we didn't click on that one previously, but this is the container. In the layout 2x2, this is one container over here and the second container over here. And this is where the space is added on. I just couldn't find it. But when we remove this, now it looks better. There we go. So mystery solved. And then I still want to move this image a bit lower because it would look better in the middle. Yeah, this is probably towards the middle. And then again, I don't want so much spacing on here, so much white space, and then a little bit over here. So I'll choose the container and make sure that the image is center aligned. This looks a bit more professional now, in my opinion. Yeah, so the same here. We want to select the container, this one, and then center align it, and over here the container that is holding these elements, we need to just space it out, or basically just remove the spacing. Okay, let's remove the spacing, and now I want to add on, because now we pulled it very close to the upper text. I want to add on spacing on the whole section, not only on the text but the whole thing. I will do it this way using the padding. Let's add on two volume. Great, I believe that looks good. Over here as well, let's just remove the spacing. We'll make this centered and select the whole section, which is holding the image and the text elements, and then you can add on some spacing. So now on the bottom we will not need that much, because there is on the next block here, it already has some spacing on there, so we can just do a little and see if that is enough. Yeah, I believe this looks good now. Maybe on this section here, add a little bit more from the top. There we go. So I believe it looks good. What else over here? We have a lot of text, and it is making this section a bit tall. In order to make it nicer, I believe we could resize the text. Maybe not these, but just this description over here. It saved us a bit of space over here. Okay, this way. And then we can add on some bottom spacing on here. Very good. It looks better because now this is the most important. Then this one, I would probably resize this by 1. Then this one, then this one, and then the image we can move it a bit lower, just so that it is towards the middle of the screen, something like that. And then a money back guarantee, we need to add on absolutely some padding on the sides. Let's just do it on the block level. Like that, 1 rem. And now our images is a bit higher up, so let's just make sure that it is coming towards the middle of the screen, like that. There we go. I believe this looks good. Maybe just these images to push a bit lower on the page, like that. This is fine, this is fine. Nice. Okay, I'm happy with this device. We'll probably just need to double check it later on, but I'm happy with it. So now, when I'm designing these two devices over here, what I usually do is I click one more time so these two are selected, because the difference on here and on here is very small. So I like to design my sites like that, just so that I save time. Let's just have a look how it looks like without any changes. Okay, so we need to edit absolutely this section on the top. Maybe make this a bit smaller. Center this, absolutely center this one. And okay, so here we have our images. We have this text is looking quite nicely. Over here, we want to center these ones and make the text not full width like that, just a bit more smaller on the page. Here as well, a bit smaller text on the page. we could maybe edit these countdown timers to have bigger circles, a bit to show up a bit bigger. Shane is saying, share the template, please, please, please. So Shane, if you're watching on Facebook, in the description of this video, there is the link. You can download it from here. So this page will open. Just click download button, import it. Basically, import the code over here. So you copy from the Notepad file. You come over here to this button, paste it in, and then you can work with it. I showed that on the beginning of this live stream, so I will not go through it again. But over here, this box is looking pretty big. We don't want that big of a box over here, and the spacing we need to edit. And these sections will probably just make it smaller and then center aligned. Over here, this looks good, but this looks too big. And this is the section where we will need to do more of work, because we have an image, text, image, text. So this image we'll just need to put here on the top of this text section, resize everything properly, and then it will be looking nicer. Okay, over here we need to also center align this, the images as well, this one as well. I want it to be centered and much smaller, so I don't want the full width text. Over here, a bit of spacing on here, remove a bit of spacing in here, add on a spacing on here, center everything, center this part, just make this image a bit smaller, and yeah, that's it for the tablet. So let's just jump in and work with that. So first things first, let's start from the logo. I want it a bit bigger, so I will put it relative to the parent and then increase the size of it, like 25. I believe that looks good. Create your sales funnel. I want it to be a bit smaller, and this one as well, smaller. And here you can use the drag handles. I'll just use these ones so that we can see the numbers. So we have -25 over here. You could put it like that, but what you could also do is just resize this by one more, so that you have like create any sales funnel pages today, any layout, fast and easy. It could look good with a bigger font. I'll just not do that. I'll just resize everything to be the same, but you could do that in case you want. I'm finding my logo a bit too big, so 20% is good. Okay, so I want to put a bit of spacing between my logo and the headline, so I'll just do that like that. And over here you could resize this as well. Yeah, and then make the sizing 30%, 30%. Definitely looks a bit better. You could resize the video, make it bigger or smaller. I'll just make it a bit bigger just so that we do that one as well, relative to the parent. Okay, increase the size to 85. Yeah, I believe this looks good. But actually, if we have a look at the text, I don't want to pull all the attention away from the text. So 75, I'll leave it at 75. It looks better. Okay, so that section, the first section is done. Now the next section. What I will do is very simple. So we know that this is a container, but the container has one button and also these columns over here. So what we could do is, so each of these list items is in its separate container. So when you actually think about it, you could do this one, but it is already centered. Everything is centered on the page. But what is not centered is the container that holds these list items. So let's just try to work with that. Okay, so what I did is selected the container. So let's just show you one more time here. Now I have the list image element selected. If I come to the container that is holding this element, I can come to layout, center. Okay, and now it is centering it on the page. I'll do the same with this one. Just select the container that is holding this image and then center it like that. So now, as you can see, this is the container, but here below these red lines we have a bit of spacing, so it is not on the container level, but it is most probably on the block level. So let's just remove this spacing from top and bottom so that it looks a bit better. There we go. As we have, this text is a bit bigger, I believe, from the button text. I will just click on the button and increase the text size so that we have a bigger button that is more important than the image and then these things below it. Okay. Now that I'm looking at this page, this text is almost the same size as here. So let's just see how it looks like if I increase this text over here. I don't like it. I don't like it because it comes to two lines. I'll just leave it as it is and then leave this one big. Great. I actually didn't save it from when I started, so let's just save it. Now this is the most interesting part over here. As you've seen, we designed this section to be 4 next to each other on this section over here, but on a vertical tablet and a mobile, it looks bad. Like, I don't want it to be looking like that. So what we could do is we could have let's just see what happens if we resize the images. So this is a container and this is an element. So let's just see what happens if we just pull an image on there. Okay, so because they're the same size, we cannot pull them, but let's just resize them. Relative to the parent, 32%. Let's just try to pull it now up here. Ha! Perfect. So this gives me an idea. Okay, so this is how it was. Let's just save it one more time. I want to show two images, or maybe just 2 images, not 4. So what I can do is I can resize the first image relative to the parent, just so that it's not 50%, because then if it is 50%, you cannot put another element, or maybe you could. Let's just see. That is 50%. Then it would be 100%. So let's just see. 50%. If we pull this up, we can. Good. But we don't want to do that because then this container over here will be looking bad. So what we could do is we can click on this container over here and we can just say layout, display, none. Okay. And then we come to one device bigger and then we actually say layout, display, block. Perfect. And then we just duplicate this one and we say show it here, but don't show it here. So on the bigger device, we don't want it to show. We will select this image and we will say none. Nice. So this is a bit more advanced. If you want to do this, you can, you don't have to, but it is a bit more advanced responsiveness. So hiding one element or a container or a block on one device and then showing it on another and vice versa. So this is what we are doing now. So on this vertical, I want here to show 2 images, but I actually want a bit more spacing in between. So I will resize this one, not to be 50%, but to be 40%, like that. And then this allows me to add on spacing, add on a bit of margins like that. Perfect, 2 rem. Let's see if we could make them center aligned. So without any vertical, without any horizontal, I just want to click this primary, and this is centering these two images. Okay, so now it may look a bit strange on the other devices, but we'll go back and edit them later on. So this happens also on mobile because we are editing both of these devices. As you can see, both of them are pink. We are editing both of them. So this container we hidden, we will do the same over here. So I'll just resize this image to relative to parent 40%, duplicate it, and I will add on 2 aria margin on the side of this one. I will click on the container that is holding these, and layout, just click this one. Do not click vertical. Actually, let me show you what happens. If we click vertical, then it stacks it up vertically. We don't want that. We just want to click on the container over here and just click center align. Perfetto. And then over here, we just want to hide this container. So we click on the container, we click a layout, and we go to none. Okay, so this is now hiding it on this device, but on one device bigger, I actually want it to be shown. So I will click block. I tried to download the design using mobile but failed. Sanissa, this is not for mobile. Just when you come to your desktop device, then you can do this very easily. Okay, so now when we actually have this, I duplicated this image, but I don't want it to show on a bigger device. So this is the image, and I will click over here, none. Okay, but on here, I want it to be shown. Perfect. So let's just save this and let's just continue. Actually, let's just preview how it looks like. Okay. So if we have a look, it has 4 images stacked up next to each other. If we make it a bit bigger, it still looks great. However, when we actually go a bit bigger, then the images are not nice, but we will work with that later on. And yeah, this is the effect I wanted to get, these 4 images here. Perfect. So that's basically it. I believe this section looks great, but this section absolutely needs to be worked on. So I want this one to be resized and centered, absolutely. So I will click center the text, and then this one as well. But the next thing what we need to do is select the container that is holding all these elements and then size it. So it is now 100% like that, and then 100% width of this container, but I want it to be smaller. When I just move it like that, it aligns towards the left hand side, which is not something that we want to do. So let's just put it back to auto, and let's try to make this one smaller. Okay, so as you've seen, when we resize, certain things just align to the left-hand side. This is being worked on, but in the meanwhile, we could use spacing for that. So we can add on some left and right padding inside and achieve the same type of outcome. So if we add on quite a lot of padding on the sides, then it will show up like that. On a mobile, we will need to rework it because we don't want that much padding on the sides. But on a vertical tablet, it looks good. So let's just continue with this. So we want to put this center, this one as well, this one as well. Okay. And then let's just continue doing the centering. Very good. As you can see now, when we put it in the center, we need to add on a bit more spacing on the top as well. So what we will do is add spacing to the middle one, to the number 2. We will add spacing on top and bottom, like that. Maybe 1.5. And then immediately we can add on the padding, 8 rem. That was how much we added on the first one. So now it looks great. We'll just do the same on the third one, but we don't need to add on spacing to the top because we resized the number 2. And we want to add on a bit more padding over here. Now it looks great. So that is it. over here, as you can see, I'm not very happy with the features having so large pieces of text. So let's just try to resize it using the sizing option first. 20, okay, it looks okay. Let's just have a look at the 30 rem. Not very happy with it, so let's just leave it on 20. So let's do for the rest as well. So size, so we select the text, we come to size, and we just select 20 rem. We select this last piece of text, not spacing, but sizing, and we come to 20 rem. Okay, so the next thing is this one. I also want to resize this. 30 or okay, so when you see that when on certain parts of certain elements, when we resize it, it left aligns for some reason, then in these cases we just need to use the padding for now. We can just add on a bit of padding. 6 rem, this looks good. Nice. So as I mentioned, I want to make this counters a bit bigger. So what I could do is I could add on text in it, but I also need to increase the size of the circle. So the size of the circle, this is the black or the dark blue color that you see, is done using sizing. So if we increase this one by 6, and we need to increase this one by 6. So one is for the height, one is for the width. We need to increase them both at the same time on the same number. So it is the width is 6 rem and the height is 6 rem. This way we get a perfect circle. Now we can actually increase the text a bit more, like that. I believe 2.25 is looking good. So we do the same on the next one, 2.25. And then we increase the size of the circle to 6 rem width and height. Very good. 2.25, size 6, up and sideways. Very good. Text 2.25, sizing 6, 6. Great. These days, hours, minutes, and seconds I will leave as it is, and we can go to the next section. Okay, so this is an image, and it is taking up a lot of space, almost the whole viewing area of the screen. So we absolutely need to make sure that it is resized. So you can do it, as I mentioned previously, with these ones, or you can use relative to the parent, and then using the slider you make it as big as you want. What I will do is put it to auto and use these to resize it. I believe this 20 is okay, but the next thing is to select a container and place the elements in the middle, like that. Okay, over here we have some spacing added on inside the container section. We want to remove this, like that, so that the image is here and then the things are immediately below it, but the heading needs to be increased a bit, I believe. 2.25, 1875. This looks good. So I'll just leave it as it is. Click save. Now this is the next section. Here we need to just add on a bit of space between, like that. And then the next thing is to have this black part, this container section, stylable element. We need to just make it make it smaller, make it push towards the middle. And this we do inside the container section. The container is the one that has the black part selected over here. So let's just try to do it with the sizing. Okay, as you can see, it is not changing. Let's just try using the relative to the parent. Okay, so this one is changing. So 50%, 60, 66. Yeah, I kind of like this 66. So the next thing is select the stylable element and see if we have anything to do there. Not, then we can try to select this one vertically towards the middle. Okay, so as you can see, it is not placing it towards the middle for some reason. Let's just go back as we were. Okay, because this is um, a pre-made block that we are using. This stylable element for some reason doesn't allow us to do certain things on it. So what's the next thing to do is just play with the sliders, play with the spacing. So I will, this is not something I suggest you to do, but it works. Like 6 rem padding, it will be mixed up on mobile and it will be looking strange on the different devices, I believe now. Yeah, but we'll just need to go back and just resize it once we are done. Good. So this is something that we did 6 rem of spacing on these devices, and we sized it 66%, I believe. So let's just do it on here as well. So let's add on, actually, let's just size it first. Relative to the parent, 66%. And then over here, spacing 6 rem. Okay, perfect. So let's just do the same over here. Let's just size it first. Relative to the parent, 66%, and then spacing, we add on 6 rem. There we go. So now it looks better, and we will need to go back to the bigger devices because it will probably look messed up, as you can see here, but we can just manage that. We can actually do it immediately. So if we select this container that we were editing, we just remove the spacing over here. So we were editing these two devices. Now I just click to the one device bigger, and this is where I'm editing everything now. And over here, the sizing, I just want to put it back to auto, or you can relative to the parent and you put it 100%. It does the same thing. So, and this is also changing it now on the bigger devices as well. So only on the small ones it will be keeping it. Okay, so let's just go and do the rest as well. So sizing, I want it to be auto, or actually I want it to be relative to the parent, 100%, and the spacing, I want to put it back to 0. Nice. Over here, this last container, sizing 100% of the parent, spacing, remove this one to 0. And if we have a look now, it looks great on these devices as well, where it was changed at first. Okay, so on the tablet and the mobile, I want it to be center aligned. I want this one to be center aligned, and also these two. Let's just see if we can align them towards the middle. Okay, no, we cannot. Here we go. So vertical and then center. Good. So the text, middle, over here, container, vertical, middle. Nice. Text, center, over here, vertical, middle. There we go. So this is something that we are finishing. Let's just see the spacing on top and bottom. Maybe we could do a bit less spacing on the bottom. Nice. So over here, this part looks good, but this part actually looks too big. So this is where we will need to resize this image like that. Let's just leave it at 60%, and this text as well. So maybe 1.5, and then this text 125, this text 125. As you can see, it is overlapping for some reason. It's because of this negative margin. So we can just remove it or make it a bit less like that. So it looks better now. What I want is to be center aligned. That's fine. And yeah, we can just keep the same sizing. So this is 1.5. And over here, this is 125. This is 125. And how much did we have the spacing? 0.5. Okay, so we click on this one and we add on the spacing 0.5. Good. So these images, the first image we resized to 60%. Over here, we also want to keep the same thing, resize to 60%. And this one as well, 60%. However, as you see that there is 2 pieces of text over here and 2 pieces of images over here. So what I want is to duplicate this image, pull it up here, okay? And just add on a bit of spacing. Like that. And then hide this on a big device, like here. Where are we? Here we go. I want to hide this image on a big device, which is now this one. So we go to layout, none. Okay. But I want this one to be shown on these smaller devices. So this is where we are now. But on a small device, I don't want this one to show. And this where we will select the whole container and we will just set it up as none on these 2 devices. Okay, now it is not showing on here, but it is showing up here. Okay, so over here we actually want it, we don't want it to show, but we want this one to show. So in here we just set it up to block. Great. So that is basically it. Now we will have on this vertical devices, we will have image, text, image, text, image, text. Very simple. Let's just continue resizing. 1.5, 125, 125, and over here we had 0.5, I believe. Yeah, it looks good. Nice. So let's just save it. Okay. Shane is saying I encounter that keeps me changing. So this changing on one device on the other device, this is good. I actually like this flexibility because it actually allows you to set it up exactly as you want it to be. And once it changes, that means you didn't set it up as you want it to be, that the computer is setting up for yourself. So there you can just go back and set it up as you want. If we wouldn't have these options, we would not be able to do as much things as we can now. There will be updates going to that one to have like a locked in style. So if you change something on one device, it will not change anything else except that one device. But I actually like this one for now, and I believe this is a good thing to have. In case you understand, in case you do this, what I'm showing you now a couple of times on your sites or on other sites, you will understand it well enough so that you can actually do anything with it. Good. So I will just continue editing over here. I want this one to be a bit bigger, not as big as this one, but a bit smaller. And over here in this container, I want to center align everything. And this needs to be done vertically centered. Here we go. So again, we have the situation with the images. And if you remember, we just selected the image, resized it. Let's just use the relative to the parent. We used 40% image over here. We duplicated that image. We added on 2 pixel spacing, a 2 rem spacing like that. We selected the container and we made it oops, not vertical, but we made it centered like that. Then this whole container, we just hide. Okay, we select none. And over here on the bigger one, we actually, there we go. We want it to show, we want this to be display, or we actually want it to be block. But this image, we don't want this one to show on a bigger device. So we'll just go to layout, none. Okay. Also, we can immediately size this image on a bigger device. We can just size it 100%. There we go. We'll do it again. Same thing over here. So we select this image, we resize it relative to the parent 40%. We duplicate this image, we add on some spacing, 2 rem, we select the container, layout, and center. Then this image we don't want to show on a bigger device, so we select none. And I could have just duplicated that first section, but I don't want to. I actually want to go through the whole thing. And then over here, we don't want this whole container to show. We will select it to be none. Good. Over here, we can actually add on some spacing to the bottom. Like that. Okay. And let's just see how it looks like on here. We actually want this image to be 100%. There we go. Save. And then this is very easy. So we just center this image like that. We center these pieces of text over here like that. And then we can also click into the container and size it. So let's just see what happens when we size it properly. Okay, it aligns to the left. So what we need to do is actually put on some padding. I like this one, 4 rem on both sides. So let's just keep doing that. Vertical center, or just center here. This one needs to be in the center over here. Like that. And we want to add on some padding, 4 rem on both sides. There we go. We could have a look if there is, there is a bit of spacing on the top, as you can see here. So we can remove this, we don't need it. Here as well, there is a bit of extra space on top we don't need. And then the last part, let's just do it one more time. Center. There we go. Center this one, and center this one. Awesome. So then we put 4 rem on here. And then we are good to go. We can also add on a bit of separation to the bottom so that it is looking like a completely different section. Nice. Oh yeah, the last thing, I just want to remove this top spacing. We don't need it. Good, we're almost to the end of our page. We'll just need to do a couple more tweaks and then we're going to the mobile version. This one is looking okay. This one is looking quite okay. I'll just resize this image and make it centered. I'll leave it 75%. Make it centered. And over here, we need to add on a bit of spacing to the top. Like that. And then we can just put everything to the center, all these pieces of text. And then for the actual list icons, we can just set it up on a container level to be vertically centered. There we go. Now on this, we just add on a bit of spacing to the top, like that. Center this one to the middle. There we go. So just a little bit more spacing so that we have. So it's kind of the same spacing on the top and bottom here. Great. 30-day money back guarantee. We center this one towards the middle. We center this one also. I want to add on a bit of padding, but let's just resize this image first relative to the parent. I believe this image, this size of image is looking quite okay. Center it towards the middle, and then the whole block, or this whole block, we can add on a bit of padding on the left and the right, like that. Also, we could space out these things over here. Good. That is done. We could leave this out. We just make it a bit smaller. $30 REM. And then there is a bit of space that we don't need. There we go. So that is it. And everything else looks great. So let's just do another check. Do we have any spacing on here? On the top? Yeah. Oops. Great. So this is looking nice. This is great. This is nice. This is nice. This is nice. Okay, everything is center aligned. Beautiful. Let's just save it. And then once we designed these two devices, we'll not need to do all this again. We'll just need to do modifications, which is like sizing. Like I want it to be a bit smaller on here. Like that. The buttons text size needs to be a bit smaller. But as you can see, if we, I didn't choose only the, that was my bad. So when I clicked it, I didn't click only the mobile. Now I was changing also on the other device. And now I want to only change the mobile device, not the both. Okay. So this, I made that mistake. So don't make this mistake. So just click it so that you are editing only the mobile. And now we can actually resize everything here. We don't have to do the structure. Everything is already center aligned. As you can see, everything is looking nice already. We don't need to do anything here. Maybe a bit of less spacing on the top. Like that. But this looks good. Maybe a smaller font. I think this looks better. There we go. And then as you can see here, where we were adding the padding on the vertical tablet, we added a bit too much. So on the mobile, we still want some padding, but we don't want that much. Okay, so I believe this looks good for REM, like the half of what we did for the tablet. For REM, and then spacing over here for REM. Great. Here we also added on some padding. We want to just move this a bit bigger, like that. 1.25, it looks good. This one we could modify. We don't have to. Let's just see how it looks like when it's bigger. I actually like it better when it's 30 now. Sizing 30. There we go. But as we increase the size of this section, it is actually too big now for a mobile. So when we come and work with this size four like that, we can also decrease the text by 1. We'll do this also on this side. So this level of modifications is not needed. People that may be watching this video is like, oh my God, do I need to do all this just to make my site responsive? No, you don't need to. It is kind of mobile responsive, but when we were building out this site from scratch, then you need, when you are building things from scratch, then you need to actually make sure everything looks mobile responsive. And because I was using a lot of pre-made blocks, I don't need to do all that much. I have certain things that I like how they are resized on a block, and I have certain things that I like to resize myself. So this is why I'm going into all this depth. Okay, so over here everything seems nice. I don't need to touch anything. But over here on this device, we were working with this 6 rem of margins. So I believe 3.5, it looks great. If we do that, it will be much better. Spacing 3.5, there we go. And one more time over here, 3.5. There we go. So here we could actually do other things as well, like we could resize it relative to the page. We could make it a bit more wide, and then we can do like that, 1.5, 175, yeah, 1.75. Just so that it looks a bit smaller. It is not so high. People don't have to scroll through all the sections so that they read a testimonial. So relative to the parent, 85, I believe that was it, 8571. Let's have a look. 8571, correct. And then over here we were using 175, if I'm correct. Yeah. Oops. So here relative to the parent, 85. I believe this looks a bit better than what we had created first, what we had first. Over here, this looks kind of all right. Maybe these headings a bit smaller, and then these pieces of text even smaller. There we go. Everything to be resized by 1. I believe this would make it look nicer. As you can see, the structure we don't need to do because we have these images that we hid and that we added. So that is looking great. This one is already done. We will have 4 images here and below each other, save thousands of dollars. Maybe we can increase these images over here, 75. And then over here on this section, on this container, we added on spacing. We could just remove some of this spacing so that it looks better. Okay, not that much, but I believe 225 is looking good. 175. Let it be 175. Let it be. Okay, so 75%, and over here 175. Okay, size 75%, and then spacing 175. Okay, let's just have a look at this one. What is this section? Okay, so maybe this one a bit smaller, and this one as well. And over here, I believe this is looking good, so I don't need to change anything. 30-day money back guarantee, maybe a bit smaller on here, and a bit more spacing from the text for the image. And then the whole block, let's just see, it has somewhere there is margins applied, I believe on this block here, because you see there is a bit of spacing on here and I don't like that. So I will find why this happens. There is a margin on something. Here we go. So on this container, we have a margin. So it is actually pushing it quite a lot away. So these two sections were pushed out and I don't want this. So offer is available. We could do this one font smaller. We want this text to be center aligned like that. And let's just see spacing. Yeah, I believe this looks better. So now over here, these icons, we can leave as it is, but I would probably try to make them a bit smaller. On a mobile, we don't need all this huge buttons, these links. So if we make it a bit smaller, then we will get a better looking page without that side scroll bar. Let's just see if this happens. Okay, so we still have the links, but they're very, very close to the edge of the screen. So we can click on this actual block and we can add on some padding in the middle. One rem, yeah. Let's just see how it looks like. It looks great. We don't have the horizontal scroll bar anymore, and we can just space this out as well a bit from the bottom like that. 1.5. I want to add on margin on the bottom as well so that it is looking a bit better when we scroll down to the bottom of the page. 2. There we go. So now we did first round of checks. We're not finished yet. I actually want the logo to be a bit bigger. Look good. Okay, so this is the modifications that we did. So let's just have a look how it looks from scratch. Don't worry, there will be things that will not show up as we want them to be. This is because we didn't set them up. Okay, so so far so good, so far so good. Okay, this absolutely, we don't want this image. So we don't want these small images. We want them all to be big. So I will come to one of these bigger size, and this is where if we do it on how do I explain it? So on here, on these two small devices, we set up the images to be 40%. If I only change it on one of these bigger devices, look what happens. So I will change the size of it back to 100%. It changed also over here, and it changed also over here. So you don't have to change it on all devices again. You just change it on one size bigger. Then it will, the bigger devices will keep that styling. So I will set this up to be 100%, this image, and then this one as well, 100%. Now it also changed on all the bigger devices. They are now showing up the changes. Over here, if you remember, on the vertical tablet, we added on some padding, but on one device bigger, we don't want that padding anymore. So look at how it looks like on a desktop, a laptop, on a horizontal tablet. But if you remove this padding, it looks like that. And then it also changed on bigger devices. So this is the trick when you are editing on smaller device and the changes apply everywhere. You don't need to go back and redo everything from scratch. Also on this one, there is a top spacing. As you can see here, it is not spaced. Look at this text. There is a bit of spacing difference. And this is because on this over here, we added on some spacing in between. So if you come to one device bigger, like the horizontal tablet, you can remove this spacing, and this will also apply to the bigger devices. Now, as you can see, everything is nicely aligned. Great. Let's just do this one on this device as well. There is no top spacing we need to do. So we're actually done with this one. So let's look at the rest of the page. This looks good. This looks good. This looks good. Okay. maybe this spacing over here a bit smaller. Okay, and now we can just resize relative to the pen. Okay, this is strange. Max width. So because the we were moving this up, the image was becoming smaller. This was because the image was set up to automatically take up the space of a container. The container was becoming smaller, so this is why it was changing as well. But yeah, now it's kind of in the middle, so let's just leave it as it is. We didn't do any other modifications on here. The testimonials, they are nicely aligned for each of the devices, as you can see. And yeah, as we didn't set this one up, so over here we set it up to be center aligned, but we didn't set up on the bigger devices so that they are left aligned, right aligned, wherever we want them. They took up the styling on from the mobile devices, from the vertical small devices. But if we set it up on one bigger device, it will also change it on the other ones. So that is good. Let's see how it looks like over here. We just need to move this a bit higher up. There we go. It didn't change here. It didn't change here. Actually, I want to change it here as well. We don't want that so low. Maybe a lower, but not so much. Okay. Here, I want it actually to be from the start, from top. Here we go. Nice. So what you see here is a bit strange, and it is hard to edit when you are in the editor because it shows up the elements that are hidden on the page, and then you don't know if your image will appear nicely aligned to this one. So for this one, you would just basically need to save it and then have a look how it looks like on a preview. Okay, on here, I actually don't want this one to be hidden. So it is display. I don't want it to be transparent. And in the background section, for some reason on desktop devices, this appears. So let's just remove it. On here is fine, and on here is fine. Good. So let's just see up here. Okay, this is not showing. Good. So what I did is I removed this red lines. They were covering the background, and the image was shown using the layout. So the whole container was shown, but it just had this red lines over it. So I just removed that one, and now it will be looking good. Over here, I actually like how it looks here, but on the laptop device, I want to move it up. As you will see, if I move it up on a laptop, it will also be moved up on the desktop. So let's just have a look. If I move it up, it is taking over, maybe this way. It is taking over the sizing. It is taking over the styling because we didn't set it up separately. On a desktop device, I want the spacing on the top margin of this container, of this element, to be that much. So it's taking over the styling of the bigger devices. So let's have a look over here. We have this section has a lot of padding on the desktop device. Let's just have a look how it looks on here. So on here it looks good. On here we want to remove the spacing, which is happening somewhere here. As you can see, there is some spacing over here, which we need to remove. We just need to find it where it is exactly, on what elements or what container, what block. spacing, not on this one. Let's go one bigger. Here we go. So it is in the container element, and we just remove this spacing like that, and it will be good. So now the image is overlapping the text because there is an extra image here that we've hidden that we don't have anymore appearing. So this is visible nicely over here. Where are we? Okay, so here, on a smaller device it is more visible. We've hidden all these sections on the but on here it is not visible anymore. So this is why that happens. But I'll just leave it as it is because I believe it will be displayed nicely on the desktop. So over here we have this one center aligned, we have this one. Okay, so on here we set it up to be center aligned. Over here we didn't set it up to be left aligned, so we just need to do this one. We need to left align it, this one as well, this one as well. Okay, and then we have some padding on it. As you can see, it is pushed towards the center, so we want to remove this on the horizontal tablet, and then it immediately looks better. Actually, I want to have some padding on the side. Maybe not on this one, but we'll put it back on a whole another level. So over here, it's making my image smaller and I don't want that. So 1 rem over here. Sizing of the height I want to put on auto. Actually, sizing of this one I want to put on auto. Sizing of this one I want to make it relative to the page. $16. Okay. Now this is also showing up on here, but I'll just put back to auto over here, and there we go. It looks great. So let's just continue. The sizing of the image we will put relative to the width we will put on auto, and the height relative to the page I want to put 16. Okay, over here I want to align everything to the left, to the left, and then on the whole container level we want to remove the spacing like that, and on the whole another level, which is the layout 2x2, we want to add on a bit more spacing, 1 rem. There we go. Let's just do it one more time, and this, as you can see, it is taking over the changes up here as well. We'll just need to edit the sizing of this one on the big device because I want it to be not here. I want it to be relative to the parent. Actually, it was the same way. Okay, sizing, I want the height to be auto. Good. So as you can see, it's a bit of tweaking and playing with it, but you can have extremely nice looking websites by doing that. So let's just continue removing here this spacing, and then on here we will add on some more spacing to be 1. There we go. On here I want the sizing to be, for the width to be auto. I want this one to be 16 rem. And then over here we want to align everything to the left hand side. There we go. And then we want the spacing to be smaller, to be none. Then on the level 2x2 level I want to add on a bit more padding. There we go. And we are done with this part. So when we have a look at this on this level, it looks good. If we have a look at this one on here, it looks good. However, if we have a look over here, the image is higher up than the text itself, and we can just remove this the spacing from the top, which is not on here but on here, like that, and then it looks much better immediately. So let's just remove this spacing as well. Okay, and this one as well. There we go. And this also took up the changes up here. So here it's fine. Here we need to move it up a little bit more. And up here as well. There we go. Have a look at this, guys. So this image, the height was set up to be auto. And as you can see, it is nicely displaying. But the lower image, as you can see, it is cut off for some reason. It is cut off here on the top and cut off here on the bottom. It is not extremely visible. Let me try to zoom in for you. But as you can see here, the bottom is showing, here the bottom is not showing. And this is because the height is set up. The height is set up to be 16 rem. So I don't want that. I want to put it back to auto, and now the whole image is visible. Let me just make sure that the height is auto here and the height is auto here. Perfect. And now I can just readjust the spacing. There we go. And we are good to go. So the next section on here looks great. It here looks great. Here looks great. Let's just move back. This is on a big device. This is on a laptop. This is on a mobile. Or on this tablet. As we changed the sizing of the image on the smaller devices, it also took effect on the bigger devices. So I want to actually make this image bigger on here, which is making it bigger on the bigger devices as well. Only on the desktop, I don't want it to be so big. Yeah, I believe this way is looking better. And then the rest down here, we put up the sizing to be 30%. We can make it a bit wider like that. Okay. And then these font elements we set up on smaller devices to be to be small, but on the bigger devices, I actually want them to be bigger. So 0.875 like that. Here we go. And this is also changing it on the bigger devices. And I believe this is looking good now. So good. There's a couple of questions on there I will answer in a moment. And let's just preview the page. I believe now we are ready. We are finished with the page. And it should look good in all the devices. Okay, so here we need to hide this one. Once we do, then it shows up nicely. This is looking good. This is looking good. Okay, awesome. We also have some issue over here we need to double check. And the rest is looking fine. I'm actually very happy with this site. It looks really nice. Okay, let's just have a look at the smaller devices. So this is desktop. This is a laptop view. Okay, here we have the image is cut off a bit. We need to put it back to auto so that it doesn't cut it off. The images are showing up nicely. We need to put them also to auto so that, as you can see, this one and this one are not cut off, but this one and this one are. So this will be sorted in a couple of clicks. This is looking good. This is looking good. Here as well, there is an image missing for some reason. We'll have a look why that happens. And the rest is looking nicely. Let's just resize it a bit smaller. Bam. Here we go. This is the horizontal tablet device. Okay, again, the image is not showing up properly. Good. Here as well, and here the image is cut off. It is quite bad. So we'll work on that one. This is now vertical tablet. As you can see, everything is center aligned. We have the 4 images showing up nicely. We have everything is center aligned. We have the bigger countdown timer over here. We have everything. This, I actually like this section here. Testimonials nicely stacked up on top of each other. This is great. This is looking nice. All good. 4 images nicely showing up. Yeah, this I like. Now let's just have a look at the mobile. Let's just leave it at this side. Okay, so we have nicely displaying the logos at the bottom. We have everything is center aligned. Good, 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 good. 4 images. Okay, here we would probably need to put a bit of padding on the sides. Good. This is also nice. Smaller countdown timer. 4 images. Over here, everything is correct. There we go. So we almost finished. There is a couple of tweaks we need to do. This is, let's start with the top. Over here, I believe the image was cutting off on one of these devices. It is not showing up in the builder. So let's just put back the sizing on to auto. Oops, what happened? Here we go. To auto. Here as well is auto, and here as well is auto. So now when we put it on auto, it will not be cutting it off. Hopefully, let's just have a look. Okay, it is still cutting it off for some reason. Actually not quite sure. Let's just put it back to auto and this one as well. Okay, this is new. So here it is fine. Here it is. It starts already cutting it off from here. Let's have a look at the container that is holding the image. I believe this one. Yeah, here is the problem. So if we put these to auto now, hopefully it should be all right. Oh, not this, but preview. Here we go. So now it is fine, it is fine, it is fine over here as well, and on all the other devices. So I was trying to put up the element to be automatic, but it was the container that was limiting it. So even the image wanted to go up and sideways. The container was saying, nope, you stay here. So that was the issue. When we set up the container to be auto, then it was allowing us to actually preview it nicely. So over here, we don't want this image to show on devices here. So we'll just click none. Oh God, no. I didn't select it twice. So over here, I want this one to be none, but I want this one to be showing up here, inline flex. Okay. Perfect. Same thing with this one. I want this whole container to be not showing on here. I believe that was the wrong container. Yeah, this is this one over here. I want this container not to show up, which is going to be none. Did I do it right? No, I want it here. Yeah, I did it wrong. So here I want this one to be block, but this one I don't want it to show on here. So I want this one to be none. Okay. Here's none, and here is none. There we go. So this image is done. This image I want it to be none on here as well, and here as well. We want it to be not showing. Let's test. The next thing we will need to set up is the container of this image. Here I want the sizing to be auto so that it doesn't cut off the images. And here as well, container sizing auto. Okay, perfect. So let's just save it and preview. Okay, so it's nicely showing up on a desktop, on a laptop, on tablet, on every other device. Woohoo! That's what we wanted. And let's just go on. What else? What else did we see? This one actually was, I believe, giving us some issues. Oh no, the images. The images were the ones over here. So on here, I want this image. No, that's not the section. I want this container to be sized properly to auto. This way it will not get cut off. So this one is auto and this one is auto. And then on here, I want this one to not show on here, but I want it to show over here. So the layout needs to be display, display, display. Okay. But this image, I want it to show on a smaller device, but not on here, not on here, and not on here. So this was the issue, not on here. Okay. So this is the same thing. I want it to be shown on the smaller devices, but not on this one, not on this one, and not on this one. Good. So now that we set up the sizing of the container properly, now that we set up exactly what we want to see where, let's just save and preview. Let me close these preview over here. And then, so this one is styled nicely. Where are our 4 images? Okay, so we are missing an image from over here. And I believe this is still hidden. Layout. Let's just have a look. So this is the image. Yeah, the container needs to be shown not on here, not, yeah, but here we want it to block, here as well, and here as well. Good. Preview. Let's do it one more time. So if we scroll down, okay, on a desktop device, it is a bit transparent. We'll have a look why that happens. Where is it? Over here as well. Over here it looks nice, but on a laptop and a desktop, so I believe it's only on the desktop that it is transparent. Yeah, when you have it selected and it shows NaN, then it for some reason doesn't show up properly, and it also in the background it has attached these X's. Once you delete this and save, it should be showing up nicely now. Let's just give it another look. Let's just scroll down. Okay, so we have 4 images here showing up nicely on a desktop. We have them showing up nicely on this upper section one as well. So over here, everything looks fine. On here, everything looks fine. on here as well. So except that little padding that I forgot where I wanted to put it, maybe here, which we could do easily, just to put it a bit padding here. This is device. There we go. It also changed on the bigger devices, but on the smaller devices, it didn't. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Let's just give it another look and let's wrap this up. So it's 4 o'clock at my time. So it looks like this on a desktop. It looks as I wanted to design it. Okay. I believe it looks great. Okay, so here it is cutting it off a bit on a smaller device and on the big device as well. That's an easy fix. We come over here to this one, select the container and make it auto. Here as well, actually from this device, auto, and now it changed as well on all these. Good. So we were at the bottom here, as you can see now it is showing up nicely. Let's just make it a bit smaller. This is the smaller device. Have a look. 4 images showing up nicely. This one is showing up nicely. There's a little bit of spacing. We could just pull this image up. I will not do it anymore. I believe this is quite okay for this video. And this is the smaller device. The image is showing up nicely. These ones as well. Here we have nice padding. Everything is set up properly. Beautiful. Great. Okay. Here we have the next device. Okay. Big money back guarantee. We have this one, 4 images stacked up next to each other. There we go. Okay. Here, no, this is fine. The features, this is okay. This is fine. And let's just have a look at the mobile, which is probably this size. Good. So we created a site yesterday. We made sure it looks 100% mobile responsive on each and every device. It took a bit of time because it was a custom build. So yeah, it is a custom build, and when you do custom builds, you need to do more tweaking. Again, in case you are thinking, oh my God, do I need to do all this in order to make my pages mobile responsive? No, this is only in case you are creating your pages from scratch, what we did. I really wanted to show in depth what is required, and you see that when it changes, this is good, because then you can just click this device, change the things, and then it changes on the bigger devices as well, because then you don't need to go back to each and every one of them, which I really like. It helps me a lot. So once you understand this, and I do suggest you to play with it. You don't have to do the whole site yourself, but download the template that I gave you and watch this video and test it out. Try and tweak it and understand what sizing, spacing they do. And if you don't feel confident in sizing and spacing, do not use the drag handles. The drag handles, they give you different numbers. Sometimes they go on minus, the negative margin, sometimes they go positive margin. You cannot control it. But in case you're using these spacing options over here, you really can control it as like pixel perfect websites. So that's my suggestion. Let me just jump in and then see the questions that you were asking. Okay, so there is people asking me about the payments. That is not something I can assist you with. Please reach out to support. There's Paul Jones is saying, did you use personal account or the admin account to build this website? Because I can see that you're able to edit each device independently. I used my device that I usually use for trainings. This is an admin account, but I tested it also on my personal account and everything seems fine. I don't know. I believe there was an update to this one. So try to create a new site from scratch, and then I believe that would not be giving you any issues anymore. Also, do a hard reload. Make sure you do a hard reload. What if the image to be small on small device and bigger on big device? Would you use hide elements for that? No. So the sizing, as you've seen, so if you want a small image, I'll just pull in another image over here. If you want this big image over here, but a small image on the small device, you just click that small device, you make it smaller. You make it smaller on the small device, but on the bigger devices, you can actually do exactly as you want. Let's just put 66 over here as well. And yeah, you can see now on a small device, it is small, but on a big device, it is big. So that you don't need to duplicate for that. How to import, please. I showed a short tutorial at the beginning of this video. As soon as I finish this session, you will be able to see it. How do I make sure the responsive is okay? Sorry, I just jumped on. Okay, so I did a whole course kind of today, so that would be, you can go through and then see how to make sure everything is mobile responsive. In case you're using our templates, they are already done through this process. So when we create custom pages, our designers go through this process for each and every template. And when you are creating your custom site, so this is not for the templates, so you don't need to do this when you choose templates. You don't need to do this when you choose the blocks. However, I created a lot of things from scratch, like empty blocks, and then putting in different elements. So this is where you would need to change things to be as you want them to be. Are all these trainings uploaded into the academy? Yes. My site needs review. Please don't share your site like this. We have a special review section inside our group, which is the GroovePages show and tell, and this will be posted today. Please do not share your links, because you could be getting in trouble. So don't share your site links in the group like you did, Makmour. Don't do that. And also, you share your email. Don't share your email, please. Do not do this. This is not something. I will be going in and deleting both of these comments, because we don't want this in the group. Somebody could use your email for different things, and I don't want that. I want to keep you safe, and all the other users that are keeping the rules, not sharing their sites. You also need to be one of them as well. Paul, are you editing on a Chrome browser? Okay, so I still cannot edit my only laptop. I just tried. So I mentioned already this one. Paul tried to use a new site. So let's have a look. Perfect. That was it. Does it convert to mobile yet? So this is setting up for mobile. So as you can see, it works on each and every device. This, if you're setting up a custom made page without basically using templates and pre-made blocks, in case you're starting from scratch, this is something you need to do. And I will put the link in the description of this video, so you can connect it with the one that we did yesterday. So we built out this page, and today we made it mobile responsive. Can you share me your email to get in touch with you? David@groovedigital.com. Awesome. So guys, thank you very much. It was 2 hours and a bit. I really wanted to go in depth so that you know how to create your pages and make them mobile responsive. In case you go through this exercise with a template that I gave you, or if you want to learn how to build custom pages, you can visit yesterday's video. After you go through this and understand what each one does and why it changes. So in case you're editing on these devices, it changes on mobile, on a bigger devices, and there's a reason for that. And I was using this to my advantage, and then it made it easy for me to actually navigate through all the devices. And that's what I wanted to show you today. So one more time, thank you very much for watching, and I do wish you use this as soon as possible. So thank you guys. I hope you have a lovely day. And don't forget, tonight we have a training with Tom Beal. It's a digital marketing training at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would like to see you there, just in the Facebook group and on our YouTube channel. So with that said, thank you very much, guys. See you there. Bye bye.